Hi, everybody. We just saw Thor Revelation, Redemption, Ravioli. No, Ragnarok. There we go. Thor Ragnarok. A lot of R titles and a lot of things. It gets a little confusing sometimes. My little baby brain can't keep up.
Wow, that joke was almost good enough for me to end our friendship. What the fuck was...
Just like the friendship between
Revelation?
Loki and Thor in Thor Ragnarok. Coming to theaters soon.
I'm just disappointed in you right now.
I'm disappointed in a lot of things, and surprisingly not too disappointed in Thor Ragnarok.
That was an alright movie.
It was... I am lukewarm on it. I will not say it's good.
I saw you laughing in a movie.
Yeah, I will not.
Lot,
I will not say it's good, but
which
I
is
will
like
not say
never
it's
happened
bad.
ever.
There were some funny moments. There were some genuinely
It might
funny
be the
moments.
funniest Marvel movie.
But you know what? I will say here's my hot take. Thor Ragnarok had a lot of funny moments. It didn't need any of the serious ones.
Which serious ones are we talking about specifically?
Literally any of them.
You just want it to be a comedy in space?
You choose your battles. Either you're Guardians of the Galaxy or you're not.
Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't just have funny moments.
But they do the serious moments seriously.
Yeah.
Thor Ragnarok didn't. It tried to do serious moments and then went, ha ha ha.
It does have like a tone problem.
It's like, don't do that. Just pick a side. Because I don't have a problem with either. Just pick one though.
There are a few tone issues because Guardians, like, when it's time for Rocket Raccoon to get way too real at the bar and stuff like that,
yeah,
they're usually not making you laugh. But like the scene in this movie, spoilers by the way, Spoilercast, obviously, the scene in here where Odin dies opens up with like, I was falling for 30 minutes, and also multiple hijinks with portals and funny scenes all around it. And I'm like, Odin, didn't your dad just die? And then they're like, we're sad now. And I'm like, but you were like, we just did like 100 jokes in the last like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's almost like they wanted to joke you up before the serious stuff happened. But then they wanted to joke you up after it too, so that way you didn't feel too serious. But like the thing that really made me upset was the ending of the movie, where like basically fucking Asgard is destroyed. And, like, after it's destroyed, he's like, well, as long as the foundations are there, then we can
they're telling jokes
it.
about the destruction of Asgard, and I'm like, this is not the best
what
time.
What the fuck are you just let me experience the fact that a giant planet is being destroyed. Like, let me just experience that.
Yeah, I sensed a restraint problem where they knew how to make scenes funny.
Yeah.
So they didn't know when they might want to not do that.
So they just always had a backup, but they never cut the backup out.
Like, every scene has jokes. Like,
yeah.
There's a scene where Thor's eye gets cut out, and it's alongside, like, jokey one-liners. Like, the villain is saying one-liners while literally, like, permanently mutilating the main character of a trilogy.
I don't even know
franchise.
I'll be honest with you, how did he lose his eye?
She swung her sword. She did a backhand swing and got him across the eye.
Cut it out? Because it looked like he got burnt, like,
I'm guessing it's like Unshun Andalou, like straight up like slicing up eyeballs.
But like it happened in a way where she just like did a backhand to him, and then all of a sudden he had like a burnt scar and he had no eyeball, and I was like, did you like?
I think what happened
was it Zuko? Did you become Zuko, where someone like firebended your face?
I think she literally ruptured his eyeball and it like sprayed out everywhere.
Is that what that's supposed to be?
Bleeding out of it. But they did it in like a censored-ish cartoony way, where it's just his eye is just vaguely
but he doesn't have a hole anymore.
And black.
He just has like it's covered over, which is weird. Because when they do zoom-ins on him, it's just like, oh, it's healed already, and I'm like, what the fuck? How is it just skin there? It should be a hole, like a gaping hole. Like it
was just kind of.
It was silly.
Yeah.
It did.
It was a cartoonish. Wound.
I don't think. That kind of confused me. I was like,
I think they went way overboard with the big splotch on his eye to try to hide the gore aspect of it, because that might be the kind of gore that pushes it into R rating.
The other thing,
straight up like cutting an eye apart.
Well, like I didn't need to see the eye apart. Like you could have just done the stereotypical like anime thing where you cut
closed eye with blood tears.
Yeah, basically you have blood running down your face and your eye is closed, and you just assume, oh well, I guess it's gone. Like, you didn't need to do this thing where it looks like your eye, like one part of your eye is on fire, where you're like, I have the flames coming out of my eye. It just looks weird.
Oh, he did have the anime thing where it looks like it's got like a dark power awakening.
Yeah,
inside of
like
him,
it looks like.
So his one eye is gonna be like a weird dark crater.
I was actually waiting for his eye, because I didn't know if the eye was confirmed gone forever. So I was like waiting for when he was doing his thunder powers to like see a blue dot.
It was because they were clearly setting him up as like Thor is gone and all the responsibility is on you now. Yeah, Odin's gone. So all the responsibility is on you. So now you're going to very literally take up his visual aesthetic.
Also, that was the one thing I hated was the jokes. The joking thing was like you need to pick a side. Either it's always
the jokes themselves were fun. No, it's just that they mix with the drama poorly at times. Yeah,
I was just like, why just come on, pick a side. But the other thing I hated was that maybe it's just me. Every fucking costume looked fake. It looked terrible. Like all of the costumes for some reason just looked they looked like cosplayers I'd see at a convention. It was weird. They almost didn't feel finished for some reason. Like especially Valkyrie Girl's costume, I was like, is that just styrofoam? I
think
what's
part
going
of it is that it's such a bright movie.
Maybe that's
and
what
I feel like shadows hide how dumb superhero looks in every movie. Like superheroes kind of look silly, I think, generally, but they're often like the movies are often a little brownish or a little darker, and this is like the most brightly colored movie we've seen so far.
It is very bright.
Like it's bright even compared to other Marvel movies. I don't think they ever get this weirdly bright and colorful.
I think the ending segment of Doctor Strange. No,
because like the the director seems to be like explicitly going for like those Flash Gordon serials and like old sci-fi with like the droning like synth notes and everything, which they literally do at one point because there's a part. Like for a huge chunk of the movie that's not happening, but out of nowhere there's a part where like we literally have like a Valkyrie stabbing spaceships with a sword and like synth notes start playing it's like it's one of our like that new popular subsection of video games where there's the 80s retro synth video games like Hyper Light Drifter and everything like that. Like the soundtrack goes straight there for a while, and I think the color aesthetic was trying to go for that. In particular, I noticed that the Thor Ragnarok logo at the end of the movie was just covered in rainbows.
Yeah,
like they're very color.
Even the
poster,
very into
color here.
The poster was like bright yellow and orange and green, and like the city that they hang out in, the Junk City, is like blue and orange, and then they like had the Hulk parade, so it was all green, and it's like, oh my god, there's so much color. Just my eyes.
I like the color, and I didn't really have much issue with the costumes generally.
The costumes, I don't know. Like I saw the Valkyrie girls. Like
the main person that struck me as odd was actually the secondary henchman of Jeff Goldblum.
Oh,
she looks slightly odd in her costume for some reason, and I also was like, Are you the one from Orange Is the New Black? I can't tell.
Also, the main villain looked kind of dumb with her helmet on. Hela.
She looked hella dumb.
She's
called Hel, isn't she?
No, she's called Hela.
No, but like she's supposed to be called Hel. I think just Hel.
I don't think she's supposed to be called Hel. Is she?
Yeah. I named my character in Dragon's Dogma after her. But that might be. I don't know. It's like that might be like the goddess of the underworld or something. I don't know if Hel and Hela are different people.
I think Hela is the goddess of the underworld. It's confusing because I would have to remember like Thor mythology, and that is such a pile of confusing shit.
Well, I'm just thinking real life.
Oh, in real life, it's
I took a Norse mythology class, and I'm like, I know who Hel is. Isn't Hela just Hel? But they called her that for some reason. Is she called that in Thor?
Yeah, she's called that in Thor.
Oh, I don't know why. Would they think that people get confused by someone just being called Hel?
I think because they didn't want religious stuff.
With one L?
Disney's not very religious.
It's one L. It's not spelled the same as Hell.
It's close enough that parents would go, "Oh my word, I can't have my child saying hell." So Hella's okay though.
Gotta have Kate Blanchett as Hela.
She looks so dumb.
She's Hella Blanchy.
I'm sorry, she looks so dumb in her helmet. Everything else looks
better without the helmet.
Yeah, she looked amazing without the helmet. But with
she shows up and she looks fine, and then her helmet, she goes blah, 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 and their helmet looks like super CG and like super fake looking, and I'm like, why do you keep bringing that back?
It doesn't look good because it's one of those things where I think
did you see Suicide Squad?
No.
Do you know what the Enchantress looks like in her two forms?
Yes.
Because that's weird, right? The Enchantress looks actually neat in her like covered in grease costume. Or whatever the hell costume. Yeah. Then they're like, she suddenly turns into like the childlike princess from Neverending Story for the rest of the movie, and then that's the villain. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why? Why'd you do that?
Yeah, it's weird. She also she was really hamming it up.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like she made so many weird faces, and I was kind of confused if this was like on purpose or if she like was awkward in front of the camera, which I know she's not because she's the fucking
Kate
award-winning.
Blanchett.
Yeah, she's an award-winning actress. But she was like, she was talking to people. She's like, and I say, and I was like, whoa.
She's expected to do a lot of silly things. Like they have a scene where she pushes over the Infinity Gauntlet. It's like fake. Like she's going through like judging all of Odin's little toys and jewels.
Technically,
and
they're all
things.
like Thor's because he's the one who brings them in.
Yeah.
Odin it's Odin's vault of Thor's knickknacks.
Ooh, let's talk about plot holes and weird inconsistencies and stuff like that. First of all,
Okay.
if you have the magical fire that ends your entire town, your entire world, and then you have the throne, the crown that causes that to happen, you maybe don't put them in the same room. Like, we went down into the underworld and we captured the crown, and it's gonna end, it causes Ragnarok. We better make that not happen. I know, I'll put it next to it, and then just leave it.
Well, okay.
So that anyone that has
Hey.
access to that room could just be like, hey, what do
Well,
there
first,
we go.
First off, one that
They don't
room-
have an off-site vault somewhere?
No, they only have the planet, but
They can just pick any other planet that no one knows about because they can teleport anywhere with their magic teleportation sword.
well, they also toned it down
And
because
make
if you-
that their magical planet where they stick shit that shouldn't be next to the fire.
Well, if you remember correctly from the second Thor movie, they had like an actual vault.
Oh, the one that the
That-
love interest character magically got to somehow
Yes.
because reasons?
Yeah.
Because they had to come up with... Because she only had a purpose in the first movie, and so they had to make up a purpose for her to be in the second movie because they tried to keep her in the movies.
Which
so she, like...
This time they just kind of
conveniently teleports in.
They definitely just were like, okay, we can't keep doing that. That's too
No,
much
they're
work.
like, we broke up, which I think they also said last time Thor showed up. Like, I think they've said multiple times now
Yeah.
that she's not in the picture anymore.
Which I think I'm okay. I don't personally need to see her every
Yeah.
Thor movie. I don't feel like you need to overly explain that to the audience, but that's just me.
I'm glad they didn't... In a lot of ways, this movie didn't repeat the mistakes the second movie made.
Yes.
Because the first movie, everything about it, like, I actually really like the first Thor movie. I'm generally happy with how it handles... It's one of the better examples of the whole like fish out of water comedy of like the superpowered guy making stupid mistakes constantly, and
Yeah.
everyone loves the fucking smash the drink and say another. Like, we don't. That's not how this works here, bro.
We got a new one of those.
It set up him as being the comedy guy in a relatively effective way, while also being a decent story arc and everything like that. For
Yeah.
him redeeming himself in the eyes of his father and everything like that, which is an arc that's finished in this movie when he literally replaces his father when his father is gone.
As his father says,
Which
you
is,
are both
which is
great sons.
It's a story arc. That's how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
But the second movie was like, you know what we'll do? We'll put it on Earth again. And you know what we'll do? We'll bring back the love interest girl again for some reason, even though she has nothing to do now because he's already figured out himself. So she's got the Pepper Potts problem where like she doesn't really necessarily have stuff to do in a lot of these plots because that her storyline's kind of resolved, but they usually know better than to overuse Pepper Potts for that reason.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, Pepper Potts' story is kind of resolved. She'll just show up at the beginning and end a little bit probably in certain
Like she did
movies
in
because
Spider-Man.
because
She
she
just-
is there.
She exists as a character, but she's not here to
Yeah.
be a character in the movie.
Yeah, just like
Like-
how the guy that was Spider-Man's handler is a reoccurring character in the
Yeah.
in the series, and I think he's also the director of some of the Iron Man movies. I think that might be the same guy.
Wait, is it like the actual
I think he's
legitimate
actually the director.
What the fuck?
I think he's an actor director.
That's even a better joke of why he kept calling him and he wasn't answering his calls.
Yeah, but that guy
It's like a needy actor.
like that guy's amount of showing up from movie to movie varies based on whether or not he actually has shit to do. But Thor
You know who-
2 was like, we're gonna go to Earth just because it's easy to film there, and we're gonna bring back her because she's in the last one, even though we
Yeah.
don't have plans for her, so she'll magically teleport to the plot device.
Well, she exists because her job, like it's almost like they had to write the story around her job so that way they'd have an excuse for her to be there.
Yeah,
Which is weird, but whatever.
Thor: The Dark World was a weird mess, kind of.
But this is not that. This is
No.
Ragnarok, and it was not a mess. It was just
And when I say that it didn't repeat the mistakes, one of the big things was finally a Thor movie that's in space. We only had to get 2 Guardians movies to prove to them that they could do that. Like they were afraid.
That is weird. It does feel like they
because
like
Thor:
this
Dark
movie
World was before both Guardians movies. That's
Yes.
how long ago it was.
Yeah, but it feels like they were being constrained on themselves. They were like, we need to stick to the realms, just like other planets, but you don't travel through space. You just take the bridge, and it's okay. But this time they were like, nope, everything's crazy, spaceships and blah
Fuck
blah
it,
blah.
neon spaceships and synth notes and swords.
It was all over the
Gonna
place.
talk to some rock people.
So what we got? We've got a lot of cameos. A lot of people just show up.
Yep. For me, this movie was a good example. Not a good. What was I saying? This movie was like a trailer for me to check out this director's stuff.
Oh,
Because people keep recommending What We Do in the Shadows, and I still haven't seen it. You've heard of it too.
I've heard of it.
People keep recommending it. This is the same director. I'm like, oh, okay, so he's got this comedy shit figured out apparently. What I'm noticing here is that it seems like there's a trend with Marvel, which is that they'll when they decide to cut loose and have a movie take place in space, they just hand it off to a weird like kind of indie director that they just take a risk on it and just make something weird happen.
it's one of those like we're almost too big to fail, so we might as well take the risk of giving it to somebody kind of not seen as someone I would let handle such a big property.
But it seems like the moment it's in space, that's like, well, this is going to be the weird one anyway, so let's just see what happens. Because like the list of directors, there's some really interesting directors here and there in the Marvel universe, but they're usually kind of safe ones at that, like Spike Jonze or something. It's like, was it Spike Jonze that did Iron Man 3 and stuff?
I think so, yeah.
Like they're usually not that all over the place. Like, oh, you made that other, look at you, you made another movie that's starring the same lead actor that the Iron Man movies have.
Yeah.
What a risk. But they took the director that made Slither and had him make both Guardians movies. And Slither's a weird fucking movie.
I mean, it worked though.
Slither's a movie where at some point in the film, a woman that's been missing for a while appears to be a giant blob that's just a gargantuan, like barn-filling sack of flesh that's completely an incubator for like 1,000 little worms inside her body. Like that's the kind of movie Slither was, and he made the Guardians movies. And like this, they took the guy that made the vampire mockumentary comedy movie and had him do the third Thor movie.
I mean, it's a weird risk. I think it worked out.
I'm always happy to see them try.
Yeah.
Like risk that at all, because it makes the best movies.
It's weird. I will say it's weird though, because the
if only they had let if only they let Edgar Wright do what he wanted with his movie instead of being pricks about it.
Well,
maybe Ant-Man would have been remembered for more than 3 months.
Well, I mean,
because we have trouble remembering it happened already, right?
Yeah, I don't.
Fucking Ant-Man.
All I can tell you is he can shrink. I don't remember what else happened in that movie. He shrank. He ran through some ground. He did like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids sequence.
Yeah,
he was running outside and they were like monsters.
Right. What were you talking about though with the Ragnarok?
With Ragnarok, I think one of the I would be very curious to be a fly on the wall and see if maybe there was some kind of conversation about, hey, you should watch the 2 Guardian movies first and get a feel for what we want, because there were a lot of things that I saw that I felt
like trashy spaceship that a freelancer flies around in.
Yeah, and then you have the other one, which is the
like a Jackson Pollock painting
like
in here.
The very ending of the movie fight sequence had like musical cues to it that was like an iconic 80s music, and I was like, why are you doing this? This is not Thor.
Message to all directors / and studio heads that just make these decisions, which I don't even know if the directors can make these decisions. Fucking stop using Immigrant Song. I'm so tired of Immigrant Song.
What?
I get it. They nailed it. That's a cool song. That one vocal with the yes, it's very eerie sounding. Guess what? You're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Maybe you could fucking commission the actual rock artists that exist right now to make a song for your movie.
Yeah, but
that
it's
isn't
not iconic.
Fucking Immigrant Song again.
It's not iconic.
They used Immigrant. Not only did they use Immigrant Song twice in the same movie.
They did it in the beginning too, didn't they?
That's what I mean by twice.
That's all I'm just confirming with you.
Yeah,
they did it in the beginning.
They opened with Immigrant Song when he was fighting in Not Hell.
I'm just trying to remember
against the Ragnarok man. And then they used Immigrant Song again when he unlocks his Thor powers at the end. But they also kind of did it again in the middle. when Thor was was captured, and he wakes up on the glass, and he's like, "Where am I?" And then she just electrocutes him again, and then you have the scene of them flying towards like to the city. The background like electronic music thing is, I don't know what to call it, if it's like a leitmotif or the right or the same chord progression or whatever the fuck, because I'm bad at music terms, but immediately I'm listening to that, I'm like, they're doing Immigrant Song again. Like, it wasn't a clip from Immigrant Song, it was an original music piece that was using the same riff as,
so it's using the same
Immigrant
melody.
Song. Like, it was like in the background. I'm like, you're doing it again?
I actually didn't notice it because I think at the moment
immediately stood out to me. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Let the song go.
No.
Let the song go. It's so old and it's in so many things. And frankly, it was better when they used it for was it Karen O and Karen O from the Yeah Yeah Yeahs and Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails got together and made a cover of it for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
Did they?
Yeah. The
Why
song,
was that song in Girl with the Dragon?
Yeah.
Stop using that
Like,
song.
It's used a lot recently even, but also like that cover was at least something new and different to go with it.
It sounds different.
Because it's the Yeah Yeah Yeahs vocalist doing that stuff and everything like that. And I'm like, this fucking fetish they have for this song. It's like this song. It's always this song and that one. Is it a Rolling Stones song or the one that has the amazing, like, is it horns or what the fuck is it? There's one other overly epic song that they always go back to, and it's Immigrant Song and the other one.
Oh,
that has like, and it has like a riff that's only in the beginning of the song.
Yeah,
and they only use that part every time, like to hype up their movie and like trailers and shit like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Stairway to Heaven.
No.
Remember when that was a problem too?
It's one that everyone would recognize immediately, but I'm bad at remembering the name for everything all the time.
God, they're just that was kind of
all I could think was like, just there's so much original music in this thing. Why can't this be original music? They also
ripped off the Willy Wonka song.
Oh God!
Like, there's so many times where I was like, "Can you guys just make a soundtrack? What's happening? Why is this so hard for you?"
There was a certain element of like, because there were a lot of genuine laughs throughout this whole movie, and
yeah.
But like, yeah, there's such a weird warped reality brought on by this director, and one of the weirdest moments was the fact that like that scene was already neat because it has a really odd side-scrolling camera.
Yeah,
that was like a weird surrealist thing.
Yeah, visually it was great.
It was doing the creepy like, you're about to meet the chosen one, the director, the bringer of all things, or whatever the fuck narration that was going on was like so surreal and creepy and amusing and everything. But then they just start playing the song from one of my favorite Willy Wonka scenes and just fucking thrown in there
because it just did the same thing, which was going down the tunnel and then they're showing like terrifying things. And I think
they straight up used the scene from Willy Wonka more or less, because he's going in a tunnel that gets creepier as it goes on, and they play the song from Willy Wonka from the tunnel, and I'm like, what is?
I was actually more confused because like, don't you have access to like It's a Small World? That would have just been such a funnier song.
I'm just like, why does this planet have Willy Wonka music?
Yeah, that was... Well, I think
that's the biggest question.
I don't think the music is supposed to actually be happening.
I think that music was supposed to canonically be in universe, and that's the confusing part.
In universe, it's even more upsetting.
Because Immigrant Song is a soundtrack song.
Yeah.
But I think the Willy Wonka song was supposed to actually be in the movie and was being heard by Thor, and that just raises new questions.
That's so confusing.
That raises so many questions.
I mean, on the upside, his reaction at the end of the whole thing was like genuine, because it was like Jeff Goldblum at the end, and that is like the most terrifying thing to see at the end of a tunnel.
I had like one other thing to raise, which is that I find it annoying that the relic was next to the thing it had to go into. I'm like, what are you doing? Yeah. What the fuck? The other weird thing that's like, it's not even like, I don't know if I'd even call it a plot hole. It's just something that struck me as weird and kept striking me as weird throughout the movie, is that when they fall out of the Bifrost summoning beam or whatever they're calling it, and they end up in this planet together, Loki and Thor, Loki fell out of the beam slightly earlier than Thor did, like 10 seconds earlier than Thor did, and they establish that he's been there for weeks, and so it's like a time dilation thing. It's like they that's a recurring thing in a lot of different time travel things. It's like that was even like the finale of Doctor Who this season was that exact system. the idea of like if you get into something slightly different times because of the times moving so much faster inside the thing, way more time passes. But as far as I could tell, that was like a weird lampshade or whatever we call it. Like it was just like a hand wave attempt at explaining why Loki is in deep with the people there.
Yeah, it didn't make much sense.
And they didn't. Other than that, they don't bring it up again because for the rest of the movie, I'm like, oh, so time's moving faster for Thor and Loki, right? But when they're cutting back and forth between what's happening in Asgard and what's happening on not Asgard, I can't keep up with the names. I'm sorry. Do you know it?
Some Somalia?
Goldblumium.
So it was like
not Somalia. It
started with an
not
S.
Somalia.
It was like
the Goldblum planet.
It was like Savior or
They keep cutting like
Salvager.
When you look at the scenes and actions happening on the Goldblum planet and on Asgard, it feels like they're happening at the same speed.
Yeah,
the entire movie.
Well, they are
because like I thought that what was going to happen is that the time dilation was going to allow Loki and Thor to go through this grand adventure and character arcs and all this other shit, and then still arrive back in Asgard within hours of Hela getting there, and be like, "Oh well, we're gonna trip up your shit." But instead, there's like seemingly days or weeks of like Heimdall holding a resistance and like shepherding people off to save them and all this stuff, like seemingly for a long time.
It wasn't. No, I think it was like over the course of.
Like, are we supposed to think it was the course of the day?
No, I think it was like over the course of a week.
Yeah, and how long were we supposed to think that Thor was in that place? Because it seemed like he'd gotten one fight. Well, he was there long enough to get in one scheduled fight total?
He had to have been there for 2 days at least, because he got there during the day, the fight was at night, he passed out,
issue
woke
was
up
that
the next
Thor
day.
was supposed to be there way longer.
Well, no, Loki.
Thor and Loki.
Well, Loki got there weeks ahead of him, which means, like, I guess Loki was there for
That's
weeks?
the thing, is like Loki was there,
but
Loki got there moments before. Like, Loki fell out of the beam moments before, but was there for weeks. But then Thor is seemingly there for only a week or so. And yet,
when they arrive, Hela's already basically destroyed
it's just
city.
It was just weird that they introduced this time dilation plot point, but then Hela's timeline seems to be at the exact same pace as Thor's, almost as if the movie was not constructed around that concept at all, and it was only introduced late in the writing process to explain how Loki's in deep.
Yeah,
which seems pointless because Loki being in deep
doesn't
really affect the story too much.
Oh, it's just off-screen shit where he's like, I got in enough to get the codes for the door, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like, could you just use trickery to get the codes for the door? And
he probably did, which is like, he doesn't need to be in deep with them to be able to steal stuff. He's good at that already.
Yeah, I was like,
he could do that from the outside.
He could have just
And so like it was like they introduced this distracting plot device that was just like buzzing away in the back of my head the whole movie, and it didn't fit the rest of the movie. It bothered me so much.
Another thing to bounce off of, or to pack on top of that, is I am really utterly confused by why the fuck, or whoever the fuck built that system, the Frost Bridge,
the Bifrost.
Whoever built that is an idiot, because you just put a beam on the ground and just anything can come through it. They just bring her. Because they go through it.
They bring her because they have
because she just walks in.
They have whatever the opposite is of all these sci-fi horror movies that have like quarantine procedures.
Yeah, like, and it happened twice. Yeah. One with the dragon, where it cut the head off the dragon.
Because they very carefully have set up and payoff for everything in this movie. Like, you can't say that the movie is. You usually can't say the movie's haphazardly structured. Like, you can have plot points that seem like plot holes on an individual basis, but on a structural level, the movie's thought out.
Yeah, I mean, they showed you ahead of time that's what the portal does, so you knew that was going to happen.
They did the dragon thing specifically to set up how Hell was going to get there.
But I'm still confused on why you would set that up that way anyways. Yeah. Like, that is such a bad system.
It's a weird choice, and I don't know if it was ever established that it worked that way in any other movie either.
No, because remember, they took off, if I remember correctly, they took Thor off of the Frost planet, and the Frost people didn't just come barreling through with him. I was like, what? Why?
And how big is the beam? Because like, she wasn't near them, so like, did she charge into it? Was it just like a long thing they could chase her into?
She can literally summon knives indefinitely. I don't know what she can do with her life.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. By the way,
best power ever.
Earlier
yes.
said you were waiting for something. Like something that's sprung to mind for me was like the moment that Hulk was fighting Fenrir. I'm like, oh, Wolf's gonna chain him. Like the moment that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, where's the chains gonna come in? Like it actually, to the point where it actually kind of bothered me when that didn't happen.
Oh,
so like that's his one story. That's like the one story the Wolf has is the one where he gets covered in chains and that thing where like the other guy's arm is in his mouth or something.
Yeah.
And it's like because Norse mythology stories are so dumb that a lot of them are like bets basically. They were like, I'm gonna cover you in all these chains, and like it was like sure, but if I can't break free, I'm gonna bite your arm off. And then he couldn't break free, so he bit his arm off, and that was basically the story of Fenrir, the giant wolf. Some dude lost his arm. So I didn't think that was gonna happen.
Yeah, like in Dark Souls.
It's like it's really hard to explain and it's kind of stupid. And also Fenrir doesn't talk in this movie; he's just a giant wolf.
He is literally just a giant wolf.
Looks fucking awesome.
It did look pretty good.
And I'm like, the moment he shows up, I'm like, Hulk's gonna fight that.
Yeah,
Hulk's gonna fight that.
I knew that immediately.
And immediately I'm like, yay, Hulk's fighting it. But they had a funny joke where
he just kills himself.
He kills himself. Bruce Banner.
He can't get angry fast enough.
Yeah, he slams into the pavement and just is like seemingly just dead. And eventually Hulk wakes up out of that, which is it was effectively funny, but also like really undercuts the character drama of like Bruce Banner choosing to actually become Hulk again when it might cost him his entire humanity. Which it's kind of a cheap gag to do. That's like maybe not the right time to do a gag.
But I mean, he kind of also. I don't know. I think that was supposed to be the point. Was him jumping off? Was like, I give up. I'm done with it. Because like he does not turn back to Bruce Banner the rest of the movie.
Like in a movie that has so many chains all the time.
Yeah.
Like so much. Like
it starts with chains.
It starts with It literally opens with Thor in chains, and there's multiple scenes I think with Loki in chains, and so many people spend time in chains in this movie. I'm like, how did this movie not end with Fenrir in chains? The one character from Thor's universe that actually gets chained.
Yeah.
Instead, he's just a wolf that falls off the island. That is space island.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Turtles all the way down. On a giant space turtle, and what's under that's another turtle.
How does the water regenerate?
Turtles.
Fucking.
It's a really
that realm makes no sense.
No, it doesn't. But you just accept it because it's got the rainbow bridge and whatnot. It's the god planet, even though it's supposed to be in space.
Yeah, it's also supposed to be like the heaven for Norsemen.
It's odd
because it's like, but people still die there.
I really appreciated Hulk's like 8-year-old boy, giant 8-year-old boy playhouse room that's full of like everything like an 8-year-old boy would want, and like really horrible painting patterns and like garish bright colors, and his fucking like jaw of a dragon bed and shit. Like he's got like a race car. He's got the dragon equivalent of race car bed.
Yeah.
It's like Lightning McQueen, except it's a dragon mouth. Rawr, and like he's just such a child, and it's like it's perfect. It's perfect for the the first movie where Hulk talks. It is, but it also isn't, because it's frustrating because yes, there's that thing of, right, like you said, it's the first time Hulk talks, but because it doesn't happen so often, because the only time you see Hulk is usually like Bruce Banner going like, "Dar, I need to be the Hulk." Yeah. Like Hulk isn't like an idiot. He's not a mentally stunted child. He just is always enraged. So when he is talking and he just says Hulk smash, it's because he's so angry he cannot communicate. But when Hulk is not infuriated and he's just Hulk, he is a very well-spoken and like not intelligent, I would say. He's very tactical, very like I think he has to develop though.
He doesn't, because in Planet Hulk he just shows up and he's like, "Where the hell am I?" And
well, I think they're going the route of him developing though.
Yeah, because
he said before now he said what, a word?
Yeah.
Like, I think he might have said a word once before as Hulk, and now he's, like, actually a person as opposed to a rage missile. Yeah. So he's progressing. But, yeah, he gets his race car bed moment and stuff like that. Yeah. Where the silly bullshit. And
I mean, I will say that it was smart enough to throw enough jokes that when the ones that didn't land, because there were a lot
so many that something else would land.
Because like the joke about Hulk being naked and like, oh, that's burned into my brain is like, okay, that's not funny. And then, but the scene where he throws the ball against the window and it hits him in the face is like, that was really good. So like you can
because he's literally doing his one-liner of like, and that's what heroes do, but instead, and that's what.
Yeah,
like,
he just
because he thinks he's gonna break the glass, and
but
it just decks him in the face.
But it's not a deck to the face. It's like he like falls to the ground.
Yes.
It's just like
because he threw it so hard that it takes him down when it comes back because he's so not ready for it.
And that's another payoff.
Because he thinks he's in suave mode.
That's the thing. It's another payoff too. Because in the background, it just shows Hulk throwing it.
Yeah.
And if Hulk can throw that thing and it can bounce back, it's like. Yeah, it's gonna come back and smack you in the face if you're not careful.
Well, it's because he thought it was gonna go through the window.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
And
but
it
it's
almost did because the window's busted up, but it wasn't enough. But yeah, also the fact that Hulk just plays wall ball in his room because he just screws around all day.
I'm saying it's like if Hulk can throw it at the wall and it's strong enough to not break the wall in half, like you should probably be aware that maybe some things in this room are meant to be stronger. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the joke pays off because some jokes do not. And that's a good idea because there were a lot of times I didn't laugh and I was disappointed. But then there were a lot of other times that I did laugh.
I really got a kick out of Thor trying to do Black Widow's calm down Hulk thing. Yeah. And it was like, I'm like, this isn't going to work. This didn't work at all. No. This didn't work at all. Just grabs him.
I did I enjoyed Bruce Banner, being around on the planet.
Yeah, running around on an alien planet in a Duran Duran shirt.
And he's basically just like freaking out and the whole time Thor's just like, be calm, because he's like, stop doing that. It's not doing anything.
It's not helping at all.
Yeah, it's not helping at all.
It's sunsetting. Yeah. It's like he doesn't understand at all.
Yeah, he doesn't get
what to do. And also there's a moment what Thor has to lie, like he fucks with both versions of Hulk. Trying like, no, I don't like the other guy. I like you. Like you're the better one. Like to both of them, because he's like so caught between them. There's a lot of fun moments, and it reminds me of how like Chris Hemsworth was like the first thing I remember him being in, besides Thor, as far as like filming time goes, was like Cabin in the Woods.
Okay, I never seen it, so.
Like he has a history of being in these in playing being up for these like comedy roles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
more.
And it felt like a lot of these takes were bloopers.
It worked a lot.
One of them was. You could see one of them was because
which one was it?
When Thor's sitting on the bed and talking to Hulk, like, and it's like he says something to Hulk where he's like, it's like a serious moment. He does say like something kind of serious.
Oh, the fire thing.
Yeah, about the fire thing, and Hulk's like, but you're like. Smoldering fire. And Hulk and like Thor laughs about it.
I was trying so hard not to laugh like out loud in the theater because no one else was really laughing that much, but that one really got me.
Yeah, it was good
when he was like
Hulk is like
I am like fire and you are like water. It's like we're both like fire. Yes, but I am big fire and stuff like that. It's like you are like smoldering fire. It's like he starts doing straight up like Drax lines basically.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh fuck.
But it happens and you could see like a break of character because that
Chris Hemsworth is like really smiling,
he genuinely laughs about it.
Yeah,
it makes him laugh.
There's a line where it's hard to tell for sure if he's being like yeah, you know, but no, like doing that thing, or if he's just actually just laughing at the line.
Yeah, because I think
it seems like he might be laughing at the line.
It might have just been whoever was presenting it. Because that's the thing. It's Hulk, so Hulk doesn't exist. So whoever's sitting there giving the lines to Chris Hemsworth, when he's saying it, maybe he just laughed by the way the guy said it. He's like, "You were like smoking anything," and then Chris was like, "What? This is stupid." I don't know. It caught me off guard because was that legitimate laughter? Like it shouldn't be here, or was that like part of the scene? Because it looked almost like you laughed too much. Because he just had this reaction where he's like, huh, and then he was like, like he did the oops, I laughed too much.
I got a kick out of Hulk trying to fight Ragnarok. Because,
he just jumps.
But big monster.
He's like, Hulk, stop for once in your life. He just like punches Ragnarok, and Ragnarok's like, oh Jesus. Yeah. He's like, God.
There's a lot of good moments. It's really it's like all the fun comedy stuff was like a lot of it was really good. It's just whenever it's trying, it's like the movie has a competent narrative arc in there.
Yeah.
Like for the character arc of what happens to Thor. But individual scenes that set up that in particular are often the weakest parts of the movie.
Yes.
With easily the worst scene of the movie, I think, being the one with Odin. Where, like, Anthony Hopkins just seems tired and, like, he doesn't want to be here anymore. Like, 4 years
Grandpa Hopkins.
He was quoted 4 years ago saying, "Yeah, I'm dead. I'm not in the next movies. 2 is enough for me." So, like, he said he wasn't in many more Thor movies 4 years ago, but here he is for like one.
Well, for one scene.
A one location.
No, 2 scenes.
Yeah,
he's there for 2 scenes.
Right.
One is to say like
because the actor has to play the scene that's not actually him.
But they were smart about it and they made him do it at one time because he's wearing the same outfit. He's in the same location. They that was why they did that whole thing in that location because they're like, we're gonna do everything here, then he's gonna leave.
No, I'm talking about the other time being when Loki's pretending to be him.
Oh yeah,
that Anthony Hopkins still has to do that part.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
yeah, that scene that only I already knew what was happening. I guess everyone already knows what's happening as long as you watch the post-credit scenes. Yeah, the main interesting thing about
Ragnarok
that scene
also kind of tries to nudge at you by it. He's like, Odin's not in
if you watch the post-credit scene for Thor: Dark World, which I had to be reminded of on Facebook a while ago, and that's the only reason I would have remembered
the Loki cover thing.
Yeah, there's a reveal at the end that Odin's currently Loki.
Yeah,
and but that was 4 years ago in one of the more forgettable Avengers movies out there.
That led up to another funny scene. I love that, where they were in front of the retirement community. He's like, did you leave him here on the sidewalk or the building that's being destroyed? And then, like, Loki's explaining, and he just falls through a hole, and he looks down, he, like, taps the card, and he's like, Loki? Like, as if Loki would just turn into a card for some reason.
That really got me. That got me so good when a spiral on the Doctor Strange spiral shows up under Loki and sucks him into the floor, and there's a card that's left there to say where to find Loki.
Yeah.
Because it's an invitation from Doctor Strange to deal with the situation. And, because he doesn't want Loki on the planet for obvious reasons. And he's just like he's just like with his umbrella that's a disguised, the disguised Mjolnir. He's just like tapping on this card like, Loki? Like he's gonna come out? There's a lot of physical comedy moments that really got me in this movie. Like and physical comedy gets me so infrequently is what surprised me.
Yeah, that's
like for me, it's verbal jokes that often get me because the physical comedy is so often like, oh, the fat guy fell over, isn't that funny?
If it's done well, physical comedy is my favorite comedy.
Yeah,
but it's never done well, so it's never my favorite comedy.
Like everything, like I had fun with Doctor Strange for his 2 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
Which they sure advertised the shit out of in the trailers. Like he's going to be a fucking Doctor Strange crossover movie.
Yeah.
He's in the movie for 2 minutes.
But it was funny.
Yeah, because he keeps teleporting around and Thor's not prepared.
Like,
so he keeps slamming into stuff. He's trying to drink beer
and he's like slamming into the
point he's just like rolling down the stairs. It's like, what the fuck? But my favorite moment was that Loki shows up and he has his line of like, I was falling for 30 minutes. But specifically the funny part was like he's like, oh, I'm done with this. It's like it's revealed in that moment like not only is that because he already summoned the portal, but he reveals there that he can just move the portal. He's like, yeah, I'm fucking done with you. He does like the equivalent of like in Portal when the portal's on a moving thing and you just like slam it into the wall. Like you have to go in it. Like just get rid of this. Well, shit.
Because Loki was like being threatening to him, and he's like, "You think you're a real magician?" He's like, "And goodbye," and he just like kicks them out.
It's a great moment of Loki just being swiftly outsmarted by a similar character.
Yeah,
in a way, because by his very nature, Doctor Strange kind of has to be similar, at least in his methods, if not for his reasons.
Yeah,
because it's just how they work,
and it's a fun I mean, it was a fun cameo.
Oh, man, I want to see more Doctor Strange, but I think didn't Benedict Cumberbatch say he doesn't want to do it anymore or something?
Like, fucking
I heard there was some kind of deal problem after that movie. Like he doesn't want to be in it anymore. I don't know.
I thought it was more of a I don't have the time because I'm so important.
I'm so important.
He is like
Smaug.
He is pretty important. He's in a lot of stuff all the time, and people clamor to have him and stuff. So, like, trying to get time to be like, hey, could you be in this really, like, long, intricate Marvel Universe thing? And he's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a lot of commitment. Which, I don't know how commitments with Disney work. They're probably scary and very long.
That's why everyone's waiting to get their characters killed in Infinity War. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Fake.
I'm just telling you, audience, right now. I'm pretty sure Infinity War is gonna be a bloodbath, and a bunch of characters are gonna die. Because, like... people's contracts come up. That's the real reason. No, like it's like I just think of like Sonequa Martin Green. Is
that the post credits thing? Is that they have like all of the
people's contracts come up and you got to get rid of the characters basically. No, but like that's just like, what happens.
Is it going to be the post credits? They have like it's kind of like the shawarma scene where it was like too real almost. where they
real?
just have this room. They have like in the Avengers building. They just have an assembly room, and it has all these chairs, and all the Avenger people are sitting in it, and they're like, Captain America, renew, decline. Okay, you're out of here. Like, and they just go through all of the characters, which ones they want to renew their contracts.
Like that's because like that's the like we can make fun of the drama and everything, but like really like one the main things to care about in these movies often is the fun stuff, because the drama can only go so many ways, and part of that is the fact that like these characters are on contracts where their lifespan is determined by that kind of stuff in many ways.
Yep,
and that's frustrating because like I think of Sonequa Martin Green because she's the current lead actress on Star Trek Discovery, and she was in Walking Dead as one of the main characters. And the moment it was announced that she's going to be the lead role in Star Trek Discovery, it's like, oh, isn't that interesting? There's a finale coming up. I wonder what happens to her character in Walking Dead. Almost might be an entire episode dedicated specifically to getting rid of that character because the actor's not available anymore. Like that kind of thing always starts to happen, and it's like people's contracts of like, I've been Tony Stark for 10 years and stuff like that. Like all these different actors are just gonna transition away. So like Infinity War is gonna kill so many people. If not kill them, it's going to decommission them. Yeah, which I think will be the important part, is that I don't think they're going to literally kill off Thor and Captain America and Iron Man. They might get war machined. I think they're basically I think they're basically going to like pass on the torch, like basically do the Pepper Potts thing where it's like, I'm not here anymore, goodbye, and they just kind of like take off, and then it's somebody else's responsibility. Vision has to die at the beginning, right? Yeah, he's like an Infinity Stone. Just like that's a character that's like. Well, Vision, he doesn't die. He just lives without it. Does he? More or less, yeah. That'd be really lame if Thanos is like, I'm just gonna pluck that away and not kill you. Well, it doesn't. Well, it does kill him, but then he just gets brought back. Oh, because comics. Yes. Thanks, comics. I mean, what can you say? I will say, so another thing about Thor... Like, whenever the drama rings false in these movies, I have to think back to, like, the fact that, like, also the drama rings false in the source material. Yeah. Because nothing matters ever. No, because is Wolverine still dead, at least? Or is he back now? What? Wolverine died at some point. Oh. I think it's been, like, a year. He is still dead. Okay. They haven't reset the universe yet. So I'm like, fucking let something matter, please. He is gonna come back though. They're gonna do a reboot of everything, I think, with the I think this is why I cloister off to my safe haven of reading Walking Dead comics, is that Walking Dead won't bring somebody back from the dead. Well, they do. They do it literally every day on the show. Besides the zombies. Hey, some characters came back as zombies. He did a joke, everybody. Right here in front of everyone. And this is why you have other jokes, because when jokes like that happen in Thor Ragnarok and they're not funny, you want another one to recoup from that loss. Talk about what you're trying to talk about. I'm really upset that the main villain is so fucking broken, but no one had to deal with it. You mean like how none of the main characters have to deal with like the 5,000 knives? She just summons knives indefinitely. Yeah, she took out an armada of people by just going like this a lot, and knives kept coming out. There is a certain sense of like it reminds me directly of Men in Black 3. You see Men in Black 3? I have. But there was a big, burly, weird monster they got from space, and he shot dart knife bone fragments at people. Oh, yes. And so for the first, 75% of the movie, every time he's in the room with anybody, they immediately get darted to death. Yes. Like, he's the most lethal thing in the history of the franchise. But the moment he's in a scene with J and K, are they the other names? Yeah. Yes. JK. Suddenly he's really ineffectual and shitty. Yeah. And he's it brings me back to that goddamn hero throw. Did I tell you about that already on the previous podcast or not? Which is the part where you're a protagonist, man. So even though I kill everyone who enters my range, my range, I'm just gonna throw you 7 times. Yeah, it is that comic book stereotypical, I can't kill you, so I'm just gonna push you around a bit. Yeah. But it's just confusing me because I don't get what the limits of her power is, because if she does not have any, she is literally it's just very strong plot armor. She's just beyond broken. She came out of the water with giant spikes. She never met Thor before. No. So she has no feelings for Thor and Loki, but she won't just kill them. No, she won't. For some reason. I would have preferred even though she was willing to kick them out of the fucking thing. I would have preferred if they had some kind of story construct instead where like they did know each other and they were just lied to about what happened to her.
Yeah.
Because then at least they'd have a history and that might explain why she's not killing them like immediately. But she kills like so many people instantly, people that she probably actually knew. Because, like, they're all immortal and shit. So, like, a lot of those people were probably actually around.
All the people she knew are buried.
Are they?
Yeah.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them.
Literally, the entire kingdom was replaced by different people besides Odin?
Because all the other people aren't gods. Only the gods get to live forever.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, like Odin, her, Loki, Thor.
What about the merry band of very dead characters now? They're all dead now.
What? Which ones?
All of Thor's friends that are very dead now. Which the movie just kind of hand waves, like that. Not like they don't seem to care very much about that.
People. Yeah, they're gone.
Yeah, they're all established as being Thor's besties.
They're gone.
Except, where's Lady Sif?
Dead.
There was always redhead, Asian guy, other guy that doesn't stand out as much. Heimdall's not part of the group; he's just a memorable character. And then there's Lady Sif. And I'm like, where's Lady Sif?
I think she's dead.
No. Lady Sif was in Dark World, and she was also in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episodes that were the tie-in follow-up for Dark World. So she was still alive after Dark World.
She's dead now.
Did she die in, like... Did she show up in, like, Ultron or something and die? Like, has she been in another Avengers movie?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And she doesn't die on screen in this movie. I'm
No.
like, what happened to Lady Sif? She was, like, the most prominent one of the side characters from Thor's little entourage.
I don't know.
And she just vanished?
I guess she's just
So the Asian guy could have his big last stand?
Yeah.
Where he also just gets kind of... Like, at least he got a scene. Everyone else was like the bearded dude just gets like one shot, and I'm like, he didn't even get a... Did he even say something in this movie?
No.
I'm like, he didn't... This is like the merry band of characters from the fucking first movie that like are established, and they're so like haphazardly killed in this movie. I'm like, why?
Because the main villain is just like invincible. Just beyond invincible.
Yeah.
She just summoned, like, she could have taken
like
down Ragnarok if she didn't stay in one place for some reason. Like, she only died because she literally kept standing still while he was bringing a sword.
For me, I found it weird just because, like, you'd think that they would kill them to mine it for drama. Like, it's Thor's friends or
like Thor
dead.
would come back and be upset about it or something.
But they don't remind you they're Thor's friends. And Thor doesn't react to their deaths or seem to even find out about their deaths. So I'm like, you could have just as easily just put them with Heimdall in that vault.
Yeah.
In fact, it would have made more sense if more than one person was evacuating the entirety of Asgard.
Well, he can see in the future, so it makes more sense.
Oh yeah, he's great at it. Like, I don't think he can see the future. I think he can just see everything at once.
Whatever,
now.
same difference.
He can see now, so he has a mini map. Yeah, he's cheating because he's playing a stealth game with a mini map. He's playing Metal Gear Solid 2 with vision cones.
Can I point out another thing that really fucking drives me nuts?
What?
When you take, like, when they're in the ship, all right, they're in that spaceship and they're getting back to Asgard. So they're flying in the ship, they're making their way back to Asgard, and they go, all right, there she is, and there's him, and she's about to reach him, and they have a map on the ship that does that. How the fuck does that ship have a map of Asgard?
Yes.
How? Where is that? What is happening? Why did they assume that alien technology is just like, we have Google Maps for the entire universe,
Maybe,
and you can just track people on it?
Maybe Asgard Air Control Tower automatically broadcasts maps for landing.
And they just happen to pinpoint locations of every person? Because then why couldn't she use that to pinpoint where the sword was?
How'd you like the Mines of Moria door, by the way?
Which she just rips apart? Like, he goes through this entire thing of like,
all this process, like, here's how I open my door and stuff like that.
And she just goes like, knife, knife, pull. And I was like,
that was a pointless precaution, I guess. Unless the door was like masking their presence somehow. Like,
clearly,
clearly
it wasn't because she knew exactly where they were.
No, they knew where they were because somebody gave up who they were. That was the whole point of the.
But how did she find the door?
The point of the execution scene was that one guy comes forth and gives up where everyone is, which is like, fuck that guy, by the way.
Well, also,
like,
why is he there?
They're going to kill this one lady. I'm going to give away where all the thousands of people are.
Why? How did he even know?
Because
wouldn't he be in the underground place?
I'm a little confused about these people that apparently know where everyone's hiding but aren't with them.
I think he just said
that seems to imply a lot of people died in Ragnarok then. If a bunch of people are still in the city.
No, they all got out.
Which one? How though?
Because those people were killed by the Empress.
That entire group was killed by the Empress?
I imagine so. She killed literally everyone that wasn't the Immortal Army.
The execution scene was weird because it seems to establish that a bunch of people are definitely there, still in the city.
But then Thor wouldn't have let everyone die?
I don't know.
Also,
it's too clean and cheaty to do the same Ultron thing again. We're like, but everybody gets to live. Except Quicksilver.
except that one guy.
Except shitty Quicksilver that's not as good as X-Men Quicksilver.
It's also confusing because...
God, he was boring as fuck.
Quicksilver?
Yes.
Yeah, whatever.
And he's a fun character.
So is What's-Her-Face too.
He's supposed to be a fun character.
I forget what her name is.
They did more with Scarlet Witch.
Scarlet Witch was still boring as fuck.
They do a lot more with her, though, because she's like the main character of Ultron in some ways.
Yeah, but she just
like Quicksilver is like a background character with 2 lines, and like it's such a stark difference of interestingness between him and the version that they have in the X-Men movies.
Yeah.
But the X-Men movies has that other problem where he's in each movie for 5 minutes, then disappears again for some reason, which is weird. Yeah. And also he seems to be the same age in each movie, even though they're 10 years apart.
It's okay. They're X-Men. They age differently.
We saw the trailer for Black Panther.
Black Panther trailer looks so dumb. I was so mad at it. I'm so confused. One, the music was awful. That was terrible trailer music.
I never explained to you why I was laughing.
Why were you laughing?
So...
I thought you were laughing just because it looked dumb.
No. Similar topic to X-Men. So the guy that plays Quicksilver in X-Men is the lead actor from American Horror Story.
Okay.
And it's just this whole cast of really campy, cheesy actors playing dumb, campy, cheesy show. Because American Horror Story is silly and absurd.
It's just...
Yeah. One of the most specifically flamboyant and over-the-top and comical and amusing actors on the entire show is playing Black Panther's mom, I think? So when she showed up, when he like landed or whatever, and she was like, "Yes, my son," or whatever the hell, like that line, and I laughed. I'm like, "Fuck, it's her," because like that's her from. She's so funny and over the top, and I can't take her seriously at all in a American Horror Story. But like the idea that she's gonna be a Black Panther, I'm like, I can't accept this. Like I can take when you get that woman from House of Cards, that's great. Like I can take her seriously in Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
but you can't take the lady from. I can't deal with the lady from.
American Horror
Story and take that seriously. So I'm just waiting for seeing how much a role she plays in that movie.
I was just didn't they show scenes of her fighting?
I don't know. I lost track because there was a lot going on that was no context.
I was confused because every single line that came out of that trailer was just like, this will alter the fate of the world, and
which was leading to you asking why Black Panther's the only hero in the movie.
I was like, where the fuck is the Avengers?
Like, this will affect the entire world, and no one else is going to be in this movie.
But like, and they're driving through city streets. Is that like in Rwanda or wherever the fuck Black Panther is? I think it's Rwanda.
Is it? No, it's a made up world.
But I think it's a made up city that's in Rwanda that's hidden by like a cloak field or something.
Why would it be in Rwanda? Rwanda's not a. I think Rwanda's just a city. I don't think it's a whole.
I thought it was a country.
I don't know. I'm bad at Africa.
I am too.
I'm not even to pretend.
In any case, in the savannah, there's a fucking sphere that is invisible, which is the same thing that they did in DC, by the way, for the Flash and the.
It's also what they did for the game Abduction that the Mist people made.
Because the monkey city in Flash, the gorilla city. Same thing. Like it's an invisible cloak.
Did you watch Flash?
No, I read the comics.
Oh,
it's the same thing. Like they have an invisible city.
You should watch Flash. It's
yeah. The Justice League trailer really made me want to watch anything involving that shit.
That's not the same actor or writers or show.
My man.
Continuity.
My man.
Oh shit! Yeah.
My man.
So yeah, we saw the trailer for Justice League.
We saw the trailer for like 3 superhero movies.
There was city. Justice League, there was Black Panther, and there was Star Wars.
Star Wars. 2 of them were Disney-owned properties.
Yeah, and the other one was their competitor, but obviously they pay for the advertising anyway. Yeah. You hear Aquaman say "my man" in the trailer, and I'm like, oh.
He says it twice. He says it when he's being caught, and then he says it again when he jumps on the Batmobile.
I joked to you in the theater, like, who told DC they could use color now?
Yeah,
because like it is so bright in color, the Justice League thing.
Yeah,
but it looks like it's only like being retconned into being colorful after they filmed it already. Because it's colorful, but like it's not actually colorful.
Yeah,
like the Lego Movie is colorful, and Thor Ragnarok is really fucking colorful and bright.
It's mostly colorful,
but
until they get to fucking
Asgard.
Asgard.
Well, the planet that most of the movie takes place on is colorful. It's got the Wreck-It Ralph thing going on.
Jeff Bloom's planet is colorful.
Yeah, Jeff Bloom.
Just Jeff Goldblum's
Just Jeff
planet.
Bloom.
Just Jeff Bloom.
He's lost his gold now. He's got all the other colors in there too.
He is a character in this one.
But in Justice League, it looks like the movie's just red.
It's like,
it's like it was originally going to be brown, but they're like, we need color. We'll put a red filter over everything. Now all the brown smoke's red.
I was like, what is
the whole screen was just red. It looks like they're fighting in hell the entire movie.
And I honestly, it looked like they were just fighting in a building that constantly had the red emergency lights flashing. And I was like, I guess it's just
everywhere they go, there were scenes where like Cyborg was carrying Aquaman through the air,
and it's red,
and it's just background. It's like red clouds above and below somehow in every direction, and everything's just red forever.
I was like, that's not how sunsets work.
It just looks like the ending of Wonder Woman, where like they ceased to be. At some point, Wonder Woman and the other guy just weren't fighting in like an actual location anymore, and they were just fighting in anime backdrops.
Yeah,
where like the lines and everything are moving. Like it looks like Justice League's just gonna be that,
but
it looks horrible.
Regardless of the fact, Thor Ragnarok, there are a few minor problems I had to. Another minor problem was I didn't like the Rock character after a certain point. I thought he was really...
He kept showing up in scenes he shouldn't be showing up in. He should have stayed in the one part of the movie
that was good. I liked that scene where he was like, well, I started a revolution, but I didn't print enough pamphlets and didn't hand it out to anybody, and the only person that read it was my mom, my stepdad, and they didn't like me very much, so
It's like the only people that showed up were my mom and my stepdad, and I hate that guy. And like I was like, oh yeah, by the way, this place is like a circle, but it's not a circle. It's like a messed up circle. Because Thor runs off screen and is immediately on frame. Like he doesn't show up like seconds later, like he ran in a circle. He's immediately back in frame. Like what the fuck is this dimension of this room?
And then to end that scene, it's like Thor talking.
By the way, I think is them making fun of how like Star Trek shows back in the day were just one hallway set over and over again.
Yeah.
With like the same yellow ladder or whatever the hell.
Yeah, the infinity.
So like I think that like no, we only have this one quarter circle room. So the moment you leave this room, you're immediately back into the side.
Yeah. I also like how that scene ends, which is like Thor talking to Loki, who is just a hologram, and he's just throwing rocks at him. And like as Loki's leaving, the blue guy comes up like, get out of here, ghost. And I was like, what?
The ghost is gone.
Yeah, I was like, this character sounds great. I hope he just doesn't come back up again.
So
and then he comes back up way too much.
I'm going to make a guess here.
Yeah.
And I think it's a guarantee that I'm right, but I haven't looked it up yet, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure that if we look it up, that actor will have been in one or more of the director's previous movies.
I think he was Kevin Hart.
That was not Kevin Hart. He's almost certainly in multiple of his old movies. He might even be in like What We Do in the Shadows or something like that.
He might be, I think.
So I've never seen this director's movies before, but he screams director's favorite actor.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing, and he's saying it in a way that is very familiar to, in a sense. Like he's saying it in a way that he's familiar saying lines that way, which makes me feel like he's played a character that talks like that. He's comfortable
with the comedy of the director while also getting a weird amount of emphasis more than you'd expect.
Yeah. He does have a lot more emphasis.
Which screams Xandu. Because Xandu, or is it Xandu or Xanadu?
Xanadu, I think.
Michael Rooker. Michael Rooker is in a lot of the movies made by the guy that made Guardian of the Galaxy and Splice.
Yeah.
And I mean, Splice? Strain? Shit.
Not Splice.
No, yeah, Splice.
Is it Splice?
No? Fuck. Slither.
Yeah,
Slither.
There you go.
That guy uses Michael Rooker a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not really that explains why Michael Rooker keeps showing up so much in those movies, and by the time you get to Guardians 2, it's that he's like the third most important character in the movie, and has a send-off, and like has tons of scenes dedicated to him, and like that stuff going on. Like that stuff, that feeling you get from Michael Rooker in those movies reminds me of what happens with the Rock guy in Thor. I'm like, I think this director-actor has some kind of relationship. Yeah. And I might be totally misreading it, but it sure feels like one of those cases.
And, I mean, he was
happens.
He genuinely is a good actor. I've like all the times
he was really funny.
All the times he delivered lines were good.
He shouldn't have been delivering lines over like what's essentially the ending of Star Wars, where everyone's like standing in front of the window.
It's like when you're watching Tatooine get blown up, but then there's somebody making a joke like, "Well, I guess we can't vacation there anymore," and it's like, I don't fucking. Why?
Yeah, like this movie ends.
Why would you say that?
Like it speaks to the lack of restraint that when that director sometimes just desperately needs to show is that like. This movie ends blatantly with like the scene where like Luke and Leia and R2 and C-3PO are standing in front of the space window at the end of the movie, and that's and through that window is the sight of all of Asgard being destroyed in the literal Ragnarok. and he's making jokes, and I'm like, oh, this is
The only time the joke was
not
like
the time. Like the joke's even actually funny, I think, but it doesn't belong at all.
I don't know. I think his joke.
You tell that joke when it's some stupid planet in like the cold open that you don't care about, not when it's Asgard.
Yeah, the joke I think would have been. I don't know. I still think the joke wasn't all that funny, anyways, because it was like a weird joke to say because I don't know you and you're not a part of this planet. You don't know how Asgard works. It's just a weird joke all around. But like then the joke that he made after that, like after that scene's done, we're all still kind of cruising through space, and like Thor just asks like, where to next? And he is like, where does that guy live? And he's like, oh, he's dead. I stepped on him. And I was like, that's
wow. They stacked that joke in too.
Yes.
Like there was a lot of jokes from him in that scene that he almost doesn't belong in.
Yes. I was like, why is this guy get over him?
Go away.
Why is he so important? But there's a lot of so weird. I like that character for the one time he shows up, and the rest of the time I was kind of like, the only other time he was inoffensive was when he was rooting for Thor in the arena, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's normal. That's a normal thing I expect, which is him watching and he goes like, yeah, me and Thor are friends, Thor, whatever. But like, why was he there forever? Why was he there forever? It's so weird. Like, he even showed up with the Loki thing, and Loki's like, you guys look like you're in real bad need of leadership. He's like, thank you for noticing.
I've got a star to give this movie.
What?
It has good action at the end. Like, the climax has several different set pieces happening.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about the idea of, like, mind-blowing, like, choreography, like the fucking, the Raid Redemption or something like that. That's not what I mean when I say good action.
Yes.
I mean that when I get to the ending of, like, 90% of Marvel movies, I'm like, oh, time to get bored. Because it's going to be a part where, like, incomprehensible action's happening. Like, for me, the worst case was the endings of both Hulk movies. Where it's just like Hulk is fighting another big thing in the dark, and just like incomprehensible shapes are hitting each other, and then arbitrarily one of them dies, which also happens at the end of Wonder Woman. It's just like like noise and colors are happening.
That kind of happens with Hulk again with the wolf.
They do immediately have Hulk fight another thing underwater,
yes,
just like in before.
And it's very tough to notice. I'm like, what is that? But the Thor versus Hulk scene was fine. That looked really great. There's
still like, some clear scenes of like you feel the impact of like the Hulk punching Fenrir in the moment that will send him over the edge of the planet. And shit like that. But
I meant like when it cuts back to him after the Thor music cue and he's punching guys with lightning. Yeah, it cuts back to him and I'm like, what? Where are we right now? And he like pops out of water, punches Fenrir, goes underwater, and I was like, how did we get
Thor
here?
on the bridge is like this like 2D side scroller segment and stuff like that, and like there's all these different action scenes on the Bifrost that are all like they're all working, and I'm so used to like even in my favorite Marvel movies having like just the worst endings of like the fighting scene, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 I thought was a really good movie. And the fucking final fight scene is just like a vague blob tentacle monster getting hit in all directions, and like because they're fighting a planet.
Because they're fighting the core of a planet. I can't even like. And it just has like a face.
Yeah, I just tune out for a while because I'm like, this is the boring part of the movie. We'll get back to the movie in a bit after we please the people who apparently like this part of movies. The part that is the entirety of every Transformers movie.
Yes. Which is what I'm there for, but not like at the end.
I didn't feel that part. Because even the sort of hard to follow stuff with with Hulk and Fenrir is like...
It's minor because it only
like
happens
20 seconds.
Yeah, it's like 20 seconds long. I just meant like they still in the water. Somehow Hulk is just really hard to make.
They keep making him fight people in water, which shouldn't be happening. Also, how shallow is that water?
How shallow is that water?
It looked like they were standing in it. And I was like, I thought that was like an ocean.
I thought it was too.
But I guess it's like a disc that just water falls off. And I'm like,
well, I guess there's no boats in Asgard, so you're right. But like, at the same time,
and I'm like, what holds up? I have a lot of questions about how the water works in Asgard now. Like even more of them.
Whatever. In any case, also, the action segment wasn't bad. I kind of didn't need. I don't understand how Loki fights. How does Loki fight? He does. He like has 2 daggers, and I'm like, and then he fights people. And
did he ever actually fight in the movie?
Yes.
Or did he just almost fight?
No. There's a scene where he's actually like stabbing the undead army, and he takes his helmet off and punches a guy with this helmet because it has the horns on it. And I was like, why are you even fighting? Don't you have like trickery you can do? Like, can't you do like funny tricks to confuse people, like turn into a bull and run through all of them? Like, why are you wasting your time shanking people? This is the weirdest thing you could possibly do, Loki.
Yeah, there's no weird stuff of like transforming into an 8-legged horse or anything.
He didn't do any magic.
Not really.
Except for the illusions. Except for the like,
and
this is a fake
he only
me.
does those to fuck with Thor.
Yeah.
And not like actual fighting scenarios where he should be using it.
Which was a fun scene too, which was the
when he just
sick brother theme, the sick brother one. He like just literally chucks Loki.
It was the get help.
Yeah, get help.
Yeah, it was the get help.
He's like,
maneuver.
no, it's embarrassing. I hate doing it. It's like and four guys are just
like, get help, my brother's hurt, and then he just throws them at people because he's Loki and he's immortal and it's like not hurt at all. That got us both really bad because the scene's got so many.
It's a good physical comedy because he just stands back up and he brushes off. And he's like, I hate that scene. It's embarrassing. And he's like, not for me.
I don't know if I've laughed as much at physical comedy in a movie before.
No,
there was a lot of moments, and I'm not used to I'm used to like verbal jokes getting to me a lot.
It's very on point with.
Like I think of like what with like with like the president's like the Oval Office scene in Rick and Morty where the guy just falls dead. He's like. It's like he just dies, and like there wasn't even like a light or anything. It's like, yes, I know it's a horrible thing to see. It's called a deterrent. It's like there's verbal things make me laugh all the time, but it's like this movie got a lot of like visual gags in a way that I'm not used to even seeing exist.
I think it was because there was better care put into them. I feel like
really well shot.
Yeah, I think the gags were like they didn't hang on too long. They didn't feel like they were awkwardly executed. It felt like these were there for a purpose. Like they felt like they were part of the movie, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like the scene with the chains. It felt like it was part of the movie when he's spinning around. And he's like, whoa, let me spin back around. And he just and he says the thing like, I'm not doing this. It's just moving on its own.
I swear I'm not moving. Yeah. It's just kind of spinning.
Yeah, and like that's good because it does feel natural.
Oh, hang on a minute. I'll be back around in a moment. I feel like we were really connecting.
Yeah, and he recaps it to him too. And he says like, okay, so you're gonna come bring Ragnarok. You gotta destroy the thing with the sword. You'll become as big as a house. He's like, as big as a mountain. It's like, okay, as big as a mountain. He's like, carry on.
Oh, that's a crown. I thought it was like an eyebrow or. A big eyebrow.
It's like stuff like that. When physical comedy feels like it belongs in the scene, as if that it would be unnatural for it to not happen, is how you do physical comedy, right?
There's a lot of really smooth actions that happen on screen, like how Loki just duplicates himself because, like, you realize that the version of him walking with Thor is now the illusion, and he's actually walked off to betray Thor over there, and like. How smoothly that happens, and then they don't explain. Then like they expect you just to understand it in the scene without explaining it.
Yes, and I also and I like that.
Speaking of respecting the audience enough to just understand something, Heimdall's exile is not an established plot point, is it?
Nope.
Like it's just he was exiled because Loki's in control and he's being a prick.
Yeah.
And that happens off camera before the movie, as far as I can tell, because I don't think that happened in the last movie. It's been a long time.
It didn't happen in the last movie. Because the last movie ends with everything being A-okay, and then it shows the cutscene of Odin being Loki.
Yeah.
So then you go like, no!
Although it does bring up another time a time issue thing that I'm trying to figure out.
Like how long
was he in exile? Because he had dreadlocks. Dreadlocks take a while to grow out. He had no hair before.
Well, I mean, he also
he had a buzz cut, right? Like he had
he was like mostly bald,
close cropped hair in the previous movies. And then he's got straight up like.
But I don't know if he when he got exiled, was it because he was still on Asgard? So was it it's not much of an exile if you're just like get out of the city, like because the city is just
the exile was that he was going to be arrested and he fled.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying, so he just, like, left the city as if Loki couldn't just have people scout the perimeter? But I think he, like, left. I think he just
He's the god of mischief, not the god of following through.
Follows through on mischief.
He does feel lazy to me a lot of time, Loki.
Well, yeah, I mean, he watched a play.
He is watching a play that's a bad retelling of his own story.
It's a bad retelling of the second movie. Like... As if to somehow remind you, yes, this is the third one, but they did it in a way that makes you feel like you don't remember this scene.
They just remember that everyone else forgot Thor: Dark World happened, so they had to remind everyone that Loki was supposed to be dead in it, so that you can then be like, oh, but he's not dead 30 seconds later.
This is a giant statue of himself. Please build a giant statue of me with my weird horns.
We had way more to talk about this than I thought we did.
Because I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So there wasn't much
Jeff Goldblum, we didn't even talk about him, and he's great. He's so fucking funny in this movie.
No one wrote anything for his
That was improv, wasn't it?
No one wrote anything for
that was just Jeff Goldblum.
He showed, like, every line he said, he was just, What he like? Yeah, the one
thing he said was
the
funny.
thing that cracked me up the most was when the fucking lady handed him the stick. He's like,
Yeah.
"Why are you handing me the melting stick? It's not a heinous crime to interrupt me."
Yeah, that's what came to mind. It's like, why are you giving me? It's like, why are you giving me the liquidifier stick? It's like she just interrupted me. It's not a capital offense.
Like, I thought that was like actually Jeff Goldblum. I was like, wait, did Jeff Goldblum just actually reply to this person? And,
like, I pardon you from life.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, I'm stepping in it.
Yeah. Yeah, like almost all of the scenes were like someone wrote a line for Jeff Goldblum to say, and then he just carried on, and they just kept the cameras rolling. Because like when he's melting, he's like, "Oh, I'm stepping in." It's like
either got sparkles. A little sparkle there.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, is that the thing with your hand?"
Oh, and they escape in his orgy ship.
Yeah, and light fireworks and say like, "It's my birthday! It's my birthday!
Oh.
It's my birthday!"
We had fun.
It was
fun.
I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't.
Even Andrew had fun, and he hates things that aren't cartoon women.
Well, I wouldn't say it's good, but I wouldn't say it's bad either. I'd say I left the theater going.
That's basically the highest compliment
Yeah.
he's ever paid anything that's not called Mario.
Yes.
So
well, I mean, it's the highest thing I've said about a movie that was not anime related. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not watch it again, but I don't regret watching it. So
It's okay. He's just fractured inside.
not like I did with fucking Wonder Woman.
He split his soul into multiple different Horcruxes to keep his body alive. That's why he looks like this, and why he responds this way to movies.
At least I don't have any questions about things like I did Wonder Woman. I don't question where things just disappeared to, like thin air,
or like the Arkenstone.
Yeah. I don't have to question like, hey, why are there things in the vault? The only thing I do question is why do you think it would be acceptable to put another painting over another painting that is like, that's why I laughed so hard at that scene, because I was like, Odin, how much little thought did you put into this? Like, she was like, he wants to erase all of the history.
Yeah,
no, he didn't. He just wanted to put a nice little picture on top.
There's a dome, there's a cathedral dome painting, and then another lower dome with another painting on it to cover it up. Because they didn't paint over the previous one, they painted over a new ceiling.
I was like, why would you do that? He like specifically
it's a cool reveal, but it's bizarre. And also like when she's doing that, I'm like, Carl Urban, why aren't you like running?
Yeah.
She like, I know she's crazy, but he just stood there. I'm like it just dodged it a little bit. I'm like, oh, that was lucky. I don't know, why didn't you fucking step out of that circle?
Also, I'm so confused why in that painting she was holding the fucking hammer. What do you need that hammer for, girl? You literally summoned knives for all eternity. Like what?
So in the comics,
she just throws the fucking hammer and then just goes like knife.
Did this happen in the comics where Thor loses his hammer and does it just never come back? Is he just without hammer now?
I think there is. Yeah, he does lose his hammer. I think he just
does he like earn it again? Like it reforges somehow because he's so god or something.
It's tough to it's tough to remember. I think he just goes without it for a while, and then when they redo the universe, they just kind of like, and Thor has.
Does
his
he make
hammer
a deal
again.
with the devil to save Aunt May, and that leads conveniently to an alternate history where his hammer's back?
No, he doesn't. I mean, the hammer isn't really that great. Besides being heavy, is really its only key point.
They milk it for all the mileage they can at the beginning of the movie because it's going to be gone shortly after.
In the dragon's mouth, and it falls to the ground.
That was great. You stay.
Yeah.
So he's like this fucking dragon's a problem, so he just drops it in his mouth so that he can't do anything for a while.
Move.
That was great.
Yeah, I mean, I
had fun. I liked it. Yeah. I had a good time.
Go see Thor Ragnarok.
It was funnier than they usually are.
It's gonna be better than Justice League or Black Panther. That's for sure. Probably not better than Star Wars, because Star Wars is always better.
It's probably gonna be better than Infinity War.
No, I think Infinity War will be great.
You think so?
I think they're just gonna like hire 4 random indie directors and tell them just like work together and lock them in a cage, and then just like that's the result.
I feel like Infinity War is so likely to be a mess.
Nah.
But we'll see.
It's just gonna be. It literally will just be like the director from Guardians of the Galaxy, from Thor Ragnarok, from like the original Avengers, and then someone else, some other dude they're just gonna find on the street, and then just be like, and fight, and they're just gonna duke it out with director abilities. That will be what we get. The Infinity War of directors.
I don't know how you think movie making works.
It's a lot of people holding like lenses to their eyes and going like, "Yes, I did it."
It's just kaleidoscope boxing.
Every time I see pictures of directors on set, it's always holding kaleidoscopes to their face and they're like,
They're
"It
not
looks good."
kaleidoscopes.
I don't know what it is.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
I can't decode his brain, and we're just gonna move on. Bye.